Only in Australia would our lawmakers think it's a wise move to allow 18-year-olds to drink legally and obtain their license all in the same year. Well, at least in Victoria, and so the age-old tradition was formed of wanting to show off your brand spanking wheels while battling a desperate need to go out and get absolutely knackered. It might come as a shock, but the drinking or driving, never both at the same time, stay woke kids, dilemma isn't the only one that our fresh-faced adults are confronted with. There's an abundance of expectations, both self-inflicted and lumped on 18-year-olds by society, and often we start making choices that we feel are expected of us until we become older and realize we were still legit amateurs. We asked around and found the most common maneuvers people made as soon as they hit the legal voting age. All of us who have birthdays at the start of the year are guilty of this. Even if you claim you never gave friends pointless advice simply because you turned 18 first, you'd be lying through your teeth. My birthday is fortunately in February, so I had the privilege of lording that over all of my friends. For a sweet 4 weeks I was able to say shit like as the oldest and wisest friend, I highly suggest you straighten your hair and wear full oro to every future social event. Turns out my knack for trends that age well was way off. Oh, to experience that sweet feeling of wealth and superiority again once you turned 18. Hands down one of the best perks was to cop that slight bump in your pay slip, resulting in excessive spending and a strong sense of superiority. I felt like a boss rolling up to school with my newfound rich boy attitude. Oh, you plebs only earn $15 an hour. Here, let me take care of you. I think people liked me less for it, but at the time I was in my element. We might think it's alright to start mouthing off to our folks because we feel we've earned it. However, as we learn pretty damn quickly, that's never a good idea. While you are legally allowed to vote, and you can drive yourself around like a strong independent adult, you are very likely still heavily dependent on your parents for everything else in your life, food and shelter, so best keep your sassy remarks to yourselves. I once told my parents that I was too old for them to be lecturing me about my room. They suggested I either clean my room or move to the beach. I tried the beach thing for about an hour, but I hate sand and wind, so I was back home groveling pretty damn quickly. This is a certified rite of passage for 17 or 18-year-olds, depending on what part of Australia you come from, that isn't necessarily suited to everyone right away. If you're not feeling confident, feel free to hold off until you've really got the knack for the wheel. The first day of getting my license, I thought I was seriously cool and took my mate out for a spin. We went to visit another mate and parked down this pain in the ass court, and when I was leaving I reversed straight into a parked car. We sped to the nearest petrol station to get a pen and paper so I could write a note. Apparently, they had just fixed their car a few months earlier because another car had hit it in the exact spot. So, really, it was their fault for parking in the same spot again. While it may seem normal to want to hightail it out of whatever perceived hellhole you live in, as soon as you're legally allowed to get a job in some dingy bar in Europe, the pressure to go straight to uni is high in a lot of families. Still, that doesn't stop some of us more adventurous folk. On my 18th I booked a one-way ticket to Europe, because I was finally old enough to leave Oz on my own. I left 3 weeks after my day, and didn't return for a year. Over in Europe, I travelled until I was broke, and then got a job in a small whiskey bar in Scotland. As you start to enter adulthood, you realize that all of this newfound freedom also comes with a ton of responsibility that you may not have necessarily asked for or wanted. I had what I like to call selective adulthood. At one point I'd want to act like a grown-up person and start paying for my phone bill, but then I'd get a parking fine and cry to Mum until she buckled and paid for it. Times, we just have to accept that certain activities just aren't for us, regardless of whether we think we should be doing them every available weekend. Oh Jesus, this is still something I do, because I feel like I have to. I don't think it's necessarily a freshly 18-foot thing. Even traveling through Europe, We kept going on these tours that insisted on stopping at every damn museum in a 5-kilometer radius, and I'd do the same thing in every one of them, just stare at the photos while trying to stop my eyes from glazing over. Now look, when we're still in school and still technically not allowed to click "yes, I'm over 18" on certain adult websites, it's easier just to sweep your sexualized self under the rug. On the upside, as soon as you hit 18, everything becomes more acceptable. Not welcomed, but acceptable. I had 50+ people in my pool completely naked at my 18th. Really peaked early. As majority of the people I know can vouch, nobody really learns how to drink like an adult. Sure, we may pretend to know what we're doing, or even what we're drinking, but deep down we're all just kids in desperate need for a good old box of goon to satisfy our unrefined palates. And 18 around the neck nominate era. Naturally, I was neck nominated on my birthday, so I put on a fedora and TV Rocks flaunt it, and lapped up a whole Jim Beam out of my dog's bowl. It still had chicken flavor pellets in it. I got force-fed a stein of some wicked concoction before blacking out, and projectile vomiting all over my dad's bookcase. Not my finest moment. Remember a stage where I would exclusively order mojitos at bars when I turned 18, because I felt so adult getting a cocktail. Cue my late 20s, when I see BF ever ordering a cocktail BC they take 40,000 years to make. Unlike so many of us who struggle to handle their 18th in the appropriate manner, Maxiban has pulled out all the stops in celebration of their own 18th birthday. So, while your own life may be in shambles, and you feel like you're drowning, take a breather, grab a Maxiban and just chill.